Hello everybody, it's Dragon Shade here. I'm trying to record this video again because my camera keeps wanting to freeze every time I do the video. So let's hope it doesn't do it this time. This topic is on Grimoires versus Book of Shadows. What are my views and the differences of them? And this was actually suggested by a viewer. Um, One second, let me take a sip of my peppermint tea. Okay, because I'm kind of having sore throat, so it's helping me. A grimoire and a book of shadows. Let me give a little bit of information based on what I know of the difference between the two. A grimoire is usually to me, it's more kind of a textbook. Like it's just an instruction manual how to do spells, how to do rituals, incantations, invocations, evocations of demons, angels, spirits, gods, etc., etc. Well, mostly spirits instead of gods, because a grimoire is referring to more of just magic in general. It is a spell book or book of magic, as opposed to, and it's more older than the Book of Shadows. Book of Shadows, uh, it's more modern because a Book of Shadows was a grimoire that was, and it was a name and term coined up by Gerald Gardner, who when he created Wicca. A Book of Shadows is the Wiccan grimoire. That's what it is. A grimoire can basically be any form of magical book. You can give it a name. It's not just a grimoire. Um, like for example, if you read H.P. Lovecraft, the grimoire in that book, that movie, is called the Necronomicon. I think I'm pronouncing that right. A grimoire doesn't have to be called grimoire; it can have a name. Now, a Book of Shadows is referred to as a Book of Shadows. A Book of Shadows is the same thing. Spells, incantations, rituals, evocations, and well, except demons, except obviously it wouldn't include that, but in angels and all that. But it would also include spiritual and religious, or well, not always religious, but your spiritual and ethic beliefs of that person. As opposed to, like I said, a grimoire just contains your spell works, your rituals, and how to make amulets and everything. That's all a grimoire is. A grimoire is a book of magic. It's plain and simple. And like I said, a book of shadows is a book of magic plus uh, book of ethics, personal and spiritual views of that practitioner. So my views on this is I like both, but I wouldn't call my book of shadows. I always called my book my tome, my grimoire. I always call it my book of shadows because that word itself resonates with me. But like I said, I'm no longer Wiccan anymore, but most of my tendencies and views are Wiccan. You want to call it that. And Book of Shadows is what I've always called my book since I first made it. First, I called it just a spell book because before I even came to Wicca, I was just practicing magic. And then eventually, I started calling it Book of Shadows, and I like that term. I really don't like the word grimoire. Um, I might actually give it a different name. I know there's another name too. I can't remember the freaking Latin word, but some witches call it their black, the little, their black book or the black notebook. It all depends. Every witch has their own way of calling it, whatever they want to call it, whether it be book of spells, spell book, their tome, their grimoire, their book of shadows. I call mine book of shadows because I like that book. I like that name. And another thing, people keep saying that Book of Shadows itself is an ancient term. No, it is not. Book of Shadows, like I said, was a term coined up by Gerald Gardner. That's what he called his grimoire, was Book of Shadows. But um, and a lot of people they think that if you have a Book of Shadows, it has to be copied off of Gerald Gardner's or your coven, which is not the truth. A Book of Shadows is more. This is how it is. The Book of Shadows is more personalized, as to the Grimoire is more. instruction manual to me. It's more of a textbook of how to do things, of just pure magic, not any spiritual beliefs, not anything like that. So that's my views on this. I hope I didn't rant. I hope I actually gave out my views on this properly. This video is going to take a little bit of time, so I'm going to try editing it, making it look a little more nicer. And don't mind my cat back there. Cats are just playing. Until next time, merry part and blessed be. Oh, and please go to my Facebook channel, which I will link to this, and leave more ideas. Thank you, and blessed be, and merry part.